Welcome to This Oughta Be Good. I'm DJ Mordecai. I'm joined by my co-host, Sam is on Prime. What's up, Sam?
Salute.
How you doing?
Psyched for this interview. Been physically feeling better, but man, let's do this. I'm good. How
Yeah,
about you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for lining this one up. We had to take a little break because you had a health issue. Um, we had Sesh lined up last week, and we'll have to get him rescheduled. But
Yeah.
we're very excited today. We got special guest Carta P from Adagio in the house. I think he stepped away from his camera for just a second, but excited to talk to him about his history.
Carta
What's up,
P.
Carta P?
Salute.
What's good, y'all? Thanks for
How
having
you
me. How you
doing?
doing? Yes, sir.
Good. Thanks for being
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah. So
So go ahead,
tell us
Sam. Take it away.
so tell us I've got my own ideas of what Carta P slash Obvious Wonder is about, but tell us in your own words. Tell us just like a little brief summary about yourself in terms of the music game.
Um, well, I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, and Mount Vernon is synonymous with hip hop and just athletics and just entertainment. And honestly, I grew up a fan of P Rock and CL Smooth, Heavy D and the Boys, Stephanie Mills, Denzel Washington. Um,
Mm,
my childhood friend Mike Phillips, who's probably one of the best saxophone players in the world. Um,
yeah.
so music was always around.
Yeah.
Um, Hip hop was always around also. I grew up on Saturday mornings listening to records, cleaning the house before we did anything.
That's
So
what's up. That's what's
once my
up.
love for hip hop developed, I kind of just put all that together and just went for this hip hop thing, which was something that I always loved.
How
Indeed.
did you connect with Reign Supreme?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's a
19.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's a very interesting pairing because correct me if I'm not mistaken, but Rame is out of Philly, right?
Correct. So 1992, we were all freshmen at Adelphi University in Long Island. And my first day on campus, when I went to my room, Breeze Bruin from the Juggernauts was my
Mm,
roommate. I
mm,
was like, so I had heard about him because he's from the town next, next door to Mount Vernon, New Rochelle. So
yeah.
I heard about him, but I didn't know him, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then right next to us was Ray, who was from Philly,
Hmm.
and I remember one of the first nights we went out. Ray said he could rhyme, and obviously we knew about Breeze already, but at that time I was just developing my craft as like a producer, and I was a bit shy. So I was just listening, and when I was listening to Ray, I was like, wow, he sounds like he's from New York, like he fits. And I don't know, we just met and we just clicked from day one.
Man, that's amazing. To be honest, I mean, just the fact that you have that kind of pedigree as far as the whole thing with Breeze, and you just happen to meet um, Rame at school. I mean, I don't know that I know you've heard this before, but I've heard several people tell me that you sound a lot like Breeze as far as your cadence and your voice. Um,
Yeah, that's a compliment. I mean, I
yeah,
always looked up to Breeze. He's a lyrical genius. He's an English teacher, but I could have told you he would have been an English teacher 30 years ago. His vocabulary, his cadence, his
yeah,
his just thought process was immaculate. And
hmm
I watched him write that whole album, Clear Blue Skies, and I wanted to like make him proud because he was my roommate. So like when I was doing the beats, I
yeah.
always wanted to rhyme also. Like, I thought I could write, but when I heard him rhyme, I was like, ooh, I need to stop.
Man, is there
But
is there anything is there anything that sharpens you more than having somebody like that around?
yeah, like that was the bar. Like like Breeze Bruin is my roommate. So it's like it's not
Man,
gonna compare. It's not gonna compare to anything he's talking about. So every time I wrote something or I did something, I wanted to make him proud.
that's what's
So
up.
I appreciate that compliment.
Man, and I'm not trying to say that you biting a style or anything like that. I'm just saying like just hearing you
Yeah.
talk, just the way
Yeah, I
just hearing your voice, man. It just comes out like these guys had to be from adjacent boroughs or something because like it's just unmistakable, you know.
We lived together. His family and my family, they're friends. His parents have been married like 55 years. My parents have been married 57 years. Our families are very tight, very similar. So it wasn't an accident that we ended up being roommates. He's family. That's my brother.
Crazy like little side story. I'm definitely like move on from the Juggernauts in a minute, but when I moved to Richmond in '98, the first hip hop show. I grew up in the Midwest. There's not a lot of live hip hop there. So the first hip hop show I saw when I moved to Richmond was Hieroglyphics,
Oh
and
man.
the
Yeah.
opening act that wasn't on the bill, at least I didn't know about, Breeze Brewing and Buddy Slim and Queen
Oh
Heroin
wow.
came out. The Juggernauts
Oh
came and
yeah.
performed basically the whole first EP. It blew my mind because I had been listening to it. So that's like a memory that sticks with me. Just that time period was just such a good time period.
Yeah. Beautiful time period.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like how your relationship, what it was like with the Juggernauts. It sounds like it. Yeah, it was very family and tight knit. One of the things I came across in kind of doing my research was like the 12-inch you produced All Star Jam for Wisdom, and
Hmm.
and
Right.
Juggernaut were on that one as well. What's your relationship like with Wisdom? It seemed like Wiz had a remix recently too, or more recently, I should say, than that 12-inch for y'all.
Yeah. So Breeze and I lived together. Ray was next door. Two doors down the hallway was Wisdom, Dave.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it was like,
And
wow, how did God put all of us together on the same floor, in the same dorm, in the
yeah,
same school? Like
that
that.
competition, man. You guys pushing each other and you didn't even realize it.
Yeah. So Wisdom, he was from Connecticut, so he had a little different swag than me from New York and Ray from Philly, but he's definitely part of the family. Um,
Yeah.
what's his name? He's down with Dr. Dre now. Damn, his producer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Anyway,
Yeah.
his name is escaping me, but we can't get to the demos. A lot of the demos that he did in the early '90s because Dre got the contract on Smash. He can't. He won't let him release them. Like Wisdom did so many demos with this guy
Yeah.
that were great.
Mhm.
And the songs that you heard that we did, those are in the early stages. But Wisdom has a great catalog. He has a new project that's about to come out. He's been working on it for about 2 years. Extremely talented young man,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
he's dope. He's fam.
Yeah, I can imagine there's not much incentive for that material to come out. It's not like Dre's catalog is in need of a monetary stimulus or anything like that.
No, it's just it can't come out.
Man, that's what. Do you yourself have any copies or recordings or like tapes or anything from that time?
I do, but I have 3 tracks. So the '90s tapes with Ron and them out in Germany, we were
Yeah.
gonna put together a release for Wisdom, excuse me, but
Hmm.
can't use 3 of those tracks. So
That's what's up. Speaking of those reissue labels, like '90s tapes is a great one. Man, it's definitely major respect to those guys for all the projects they've been unearthing, finally getting put out, even just reissuing a lot of things. Um, you guys, you guys put a project out with Heavy Jewels as well, right?
we did. That was 2014.
So I'm kind of linked with Pat Rock, who's like one of the dudes in Heavy Jewels.
Yeah, good guy.
Um, that was that was probably the first time that some of your material had come out like post early 2000s, right? Was that like the
Right.
first time some of the '90s stuff had kind of like seen the light that hadn't been out yet?
That was the first one.
Yeah. What do you think drew that started drawing that interest, or when did you really start noticing that people were going back and wanting to know more about your back catalog and kind of like reviving the interest in that?
I think when Instagram kind of got like jumping again, and Facebook. I had a lot of DMs and like requests for like Adagio. Like people were trying to find me, and that's how DJ Parental and I hooked up because he was trying to find me on Instagram. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it was just the research. Like people were Googling stuff and just doing their homework. And then, like I said, once Instagram jumped off and Facebook, people were hitting me up, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Man, shouts out to Parental. He kind of brought Godfather down out of retirement a little bit too, did he not?
Yeah, he brought a lot of people out of retirement. Yeah, he
Um,
did.
one thing I wanted to ask, Adagio is a definition of ambition, goals, interests, and organization. Is that right?
Wow,
Where did that name come from?
Ray actually came up with that, and our goal initially was to use music as a different platform to like um, go into like entrepreneurship. So
Hmm.
we wanted to like use music to like get into real estate. We wanted to use music to like have our own recording studio. We wanted to
Mm.
use music to like have our hands in different genres of music, not just hip hop. So that's why a definition of ambition, goals, interest, and organization. Like it was just more than it wasn't just about the music. The music was the first step to get involved with everything.
Hmm.
You guys dropped that acronym on the obvious joint as well, correct?
A
I feel
definition
like
of goals. Maybe my memory is bad now, but maybe.
To hear what it's all about is dope. Like, did the name serve you well though? I feel like it'd be hard to kind of to market and promote that.
That was actually all Ray.
Hmm.
And shout out to Ray, extremely talented MC. That was Ray. And I wish I could go back 25 years, 30 years, because one of the first times we went on Stretch in Barbito, they were teasing us about the name. And they was like, oh, it sounds like a cologne. And I was like, oh, you're right. We should have made a cologne called Adagio. And I would be in the south of
Yeah.
France
There's
right now
still
with
time. There's
Kanye.
still time.
Yeah,
That
but
can be like a little bonus promo with the next
yeah,
release or
I mean,
maybe.
something, maybe.
I mean, it's designed as an empire. Why not Cologne, man?
I
That's
know,
funny though.
but in 1996, Stretch and Barbito said that when we was on their show. He was like, "It sounds like a cologne."
I
Hey,
think
there's worse things, man. You had MCs named Poops and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I don't think name sounding like Cologne is as bad as it gets though.
No, I just
yeah,
wish
But
we would have made a cologne, or
yeah.
I would have
yeah,
had the foresight to be like, you know what, you're right. Let me flip that.
yeah, it's funny you say that, man. One of the what was the 12 that came out around like 2001 maybe? It had real like a real polo sport looking kind of cover to me.
Oh, you talking about grown folks music?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it had the polo colors like the red, the blue, the yellow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, you
yeah,
got
yeah.
the whole empire, man. It just never got to come to full fruition, man. But the plan was there.
We
Yeah.
did have a plan, and we were initially signed to Columbia for. We had a production deal with Columbia, and that's how we were able to make so much music. They gave us, I think she gave us like $7,500. Faith Newman, who had signed Nas,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, and she said, "Come back and see me when you finish with this." And we used the $7,500. So at the time, Breeze and the Juggernauts, they were in like all the big studios because they were signed. So they was like in Calliope, D&D, Chungking. They were in all the big studios.
Yeah.
I said, well, let me let this $7,500 stretch and find like a little mom and pop studio. So instead of getting charged $100 an hour, we did $25 an hour, and that's how we were able to make so much music. So all these re-releases that you hear or things that never came out, that was all during that production demo deal that we had with Columbia at the time.
Hmm.
Sounds
A
a
lot of
lot.
it.
Sounds a lot like what we heard from Mr. Voodoo and Natural Elements. Did y'all
Oh,
have
they
any
said they
interaction or
said this.
contact with them? Like they had a demo deal and it sounded like, things were kind of, progressing as far as with labels and maybe some of that income helped to like, foster other things. But I was just curious if y'all's paths had crossed in that sense or realm.
I never crossed paths with Mr. Voodoo and Natural E, but Breeze is cool with them, and
Yeah.
shout out to them. But
I,
that was the thing at that time, like 93, 94, 95. Like they was giving you a production deal, 5,000, 7,500, 10,000. You know, we'll see you in 6 months. Let's see what you got. And you think about a label like Columbia, Arista, Elektra, that's nothing to them at that time. So
For sure.
one
So
thing I
what?
saw you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Drew.
I was gonna say I saw you produce for Adore back in like '98. Are you still tight with Adore, or will y'all ever collab again? Or
Mount Vernon.
Yeah, he's from Mount Vernon, and he was good to me. He reached out, and he wanted to do something, and he um, he put my song on his project. He was good, and I was trying to make that whole connection like through Pete Rock,
Hmm.
Adore.
Hmm.
He had Let It All Hang Out, and
Hmm.
at that time Mount Vernon was hot, and I'm thankful that he let me do something for him.
Yeah, Mount Vernon. That's definitely a serious area to be representing. I mean, people really don't talk about Heavy D enough. To me, Heavy D was one of the greatest. That just it almost seems like people forgot about him lately. But not only did Pete Rock and CL and folks like, I mean, I don't know about. I'm sure like YGs were kind of infamous, but Adore,
Yeah.
Adore, and some other cats. I mean, a lot of music came out, and then other folks that I'm not even aware of, obviously, but Mount Vernon definitely has that pedigree as well.
Yeah, it's something in the water, I think, in Mount Vernon. Special place, 4 square miles. Everybody knows everybody. And
Mhm.
obviously, P Rock, CL, Heavy D, they set the bar very, very high for anybody
Mhm.
else coming after that. And it's just an honor and a privilege to say I'm from Mount Vernon and to have contributed to the hip hop culture in the way that I have, even though it's on an independent level. I feel like I made a stamp and we made a contribution that's positive and something
Absolutely,
that people could, when I'm not here no more, they could listen to my music and see what we was doing.
absolutely. You're probably aware, but man, people take hip hop seriously, and especially I know people have reached out from overseas, from Europe, from Germany, and stuff like that about collaborating with you about releasing your material. But man, it is amazing how when people get the fever for music and they really start going below the surface level, it doesn't take long to find a Adagio when it comes to '90s hip hop. Um, I mean, I know like the obvious joint was probably the one that most people heard. What can you tell us anything about? And I don't want to steal your thunder, Drew, because I know you're probably gonna be talking about the discography.
Yeah, I
Um,
figured we get there for sure. But yeah, I
but
mean, go ahead.
maybe just tell us what was your first taste where you kind of felt like you started to get folks' attention and people were listening.
Yeah, thank you for that compliment. The obvious joint, that first single that we had, it set it off for us. Um, that probably was one of the last tracks we did with the production deal that we had with Columbia. Um, and I remember I was saying like, I think this is a New York record. I think like this is a New York stretching Barbito 2 o'clock in the morning record.
Mm, yeah,
Because that's when Stretch and Bob was on at that time, 1 o'clock. And I was like, I think this sounds like that type of record.
it's a
And I was
massive
like,
record.
yeah, and I was like, Ray, let's go with this. And we went with that. And I remember DJ Premier. Um, I don't know if I saw him at Fat Beats yeah, I may have saw him, and he just said salute, dope record. And then
Oh yeah,
he put it on his Crooklyn Cuts mixtape. And I
yeah,
was like, oh, like he knew who I was.
man.
So that's kind of when I knew. I was like, okay, well, we may have a little something. And from there, that was my for me. Once Premier said he heard the record and played it, to me,
Yeah,
I was good.
that's the ultimate cosign. I mean, I
Yes.
I mean back then even more so. But yeah, you're right, man. Like those Crooklyn Cuts mixes. Um, he's had his ear to the street the entire time, and you don't see a lot of other producers or artists that are that open to other folks' music. I feel like that's one of the premier special talents is that he's got a curious mind. Like he's always trying to hear what's dope, and something like a DGO could definitely appeal to him.
Yeah, he showed love. Even Pete, when he was on Future Flavors with Marley Marl, he showed love. I can't say enough about Stretching Bobito,
Yeah.
DJ Eclipse, somebody I met early on in the game. He showed mad love out the gate.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've been blessed to meet some of the legends and for them to support us. We didn't get rich off of this, and I'm not living in a mansion off of this, but we made a contribution to hip hop, in which I'm proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Salute for that. Absolutely, man.
I was gonna say even getting clowned on Stretch and Bob is a bit of a badge of honor. I mean,
I'm saying.
just to be on that show in that time.
Yep.
We talked a bit about a good bit about your Mount Vernon influences. What about other like musical influences outside of Mount Vernon, just in general, especially for
Yeah,
production?
Kanye has to be number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I met him a few times, and I don't know if you've seen the clips where he was in Fat Beats Rhyming.
The
He
old
was like
Kanye.
the old, yeah, not the new, not just Kanye, the old Kanye.
Yeah,
Yeah. I met him a few times, and he was dope. And I connected with him too because um, he used the ASR, and I used the EPS, and I
Mm.
mastered both machines, the EPS and the ASR. But when I heard the College Dropout, I was like, wow, it doesn't sound like it was done on an MPC or SP12. Like he mastered that ASR 10,
Mm-hmm.
and it's such a great machine. Like if you listen to Wu Tang's first album, The RZA, that was made on the EPS. That's not an MPC or SP1200. That's on the EPS.
Is the
And
EPS is that like a rack mount type of deal or like a
no, it's a
keyboard
keyboard.
stuff?
It's a keyboard sampler.
Uh-huh.
So the ASR is, well, you had the EPS, then you had the EPS 16, and then you had the
Mm-hmm.
ASR 10.
Mm-hmm.
But what made Kanye sound so dope is because he had the ASR on Smash, but it sounded like the MPC. Like you didn't really know what he was using. And
Mm-hmm.
just the way he was able to flip those samples early on, I was like, wow, he's very, very talented. And his rhyme scheme and storytelling is dope. So I always looked up to Kanye.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
outside of hip hop? Even you mentioned Stephanie Mills earlier, but any other soul, R&B, jazz, funk influences?
I mean, all of the soul records, like Earth, Wind and Fire, the Meters, all of that
House
stuff.
cleaning music. House cleaning music.
Yeah, Al Green. Like I said, my dad he collected records, but he collected 8 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So, we could not leave the house, like I said, until at least 12 noon. I mean, my dad probably would have gone through like 3 or 4 albums, and you had to vacuum, clean the couches, mop the floors, clean upstairs, downstairs,
Mm.
and then we'll talk about going outside. So, we heard all those records growing up, and I think that's what helped me as a producer because I
Yeah.
had easy access to it. It was right there, and I was familiar with the sound.
How'd you figure out sampling off the 8 tracks, man? How's that work?
It wasn't that good for me, to be
Yeah.
honest. My best sampling came off vinyl and cassette. But now, everybody samples off YouTube. It's not the same
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah, it's not the same, man.
It's not the same feel. I mean, you can take it through different channels and make it try and sound like that. But when you hear a record, you'll know if it's sampled from vinyl or if it's off of YouTube. You can tell if you have that real ear. You know.
It seemed like Juggernauts was definitely heavy jazz influence, so I was definitely curious about that. I did want to go ahead and pop up and kind of walk through the discography if that was all right, Sam. If you got anything else you want to get into before we kind of get into this, but
Oh, we got time. Go ahead.
Oh wow! Look at this.
yeah. So this is
Wow.
going to be a bit of a walk down memory lane, probably. The
Wow.
first one, I don't have these, but I was curious if you did.
Wow.
It looked like your first like CDR promo on the right and maybe a demo tape on the left. Shout out to Unique One. Sam and I were talking offline before about how I think he had interviewed you a while back, and this was in one of the photos. I think he might have gotten it maybe from somebody else, but
So that one right there, honestly, the gold CD, I lost that when I was in France. One of the first times I went to go meet DJ Parental. I don't know I don't know where I left that. Somebody took it.
Man.
I
That
saw
I never
it on
that
Discogs. Brewery Town Beats, I think maybe had posted it up, but it didn't have a
yeah.
year, so I'm guessing 95 maybe, or is that
No, that's
that's a
after that.
later CD? Okay,
Somebody stole that from me.
sorry to hear that. I don't have
Yeah.
it.
Are we talking like a handful of copies type of deal, or like one of one, or what?
That's one of one.
Wow,
That's
that's
that's a ma- that's a master out of the studio
wow.
because I got my
Okay,
old phone number on it. That's one of one. So like back then, you would put your mix on a DAT
yeah.
and a CD. So
What about
whoever,
the demo tape on the left? Was
I never
that
saw that.
okay?
I never seen that.
See, we
If
got it's even
that's
like a printed kind of official like.
yeah, I don't know if that's
Yeah,
even real. Let's move on.
Yeah.
96, the obvious joint.
Mm.
yeah.
Is this your first appearance on Wax?
First one on wax. Um, we took this record to like 4 or 5 different labels. Everybody said no. And at the time, I was working at Uptown Records I was working in the mailroom, and I remember I think I had a meeting with Profile.
No Diddy.
No Diddy. Yeah, we had a meeting with Profile, and I remember Will Fulton, who was the A&R at the time. He was like, "I like it, but I don't know." And I was like, "You know what?" I looked at Disc Makers. That was the vinyl pressing
Mm.
company everybody went to at the time. I was like, "We're
Mhm.
gonna press this shit up ourselves, man. Let's do it ourselves." So 3 months later, this is what you got.
Is Emo Recordings y'all's label?
Yeah, so that's what it was. So the acronym Adagio, a definition of ambition, goals, interest, and organization. But emo recordings, emo is another acronym.
I knew
Every
it. I
move,
knew it.
every move organized. So
Mm.
we were trying to be strategic, like what we put out, how we were going to do it, and who we wanted to like target. So, like I said, the obvious joint to me was a record that you would hear at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning on Stretch and Barbito.
Hmm.
That's what we was aiming for.
Yeah.
Next one was Everybody, I think. I mean, there's a lot in 97, so this order might not
Yeah,
be 100% right.
yeah, that was a great time. Um,
How did y'all end up putting out clear vinyl for? And you did it on a couple times, I think, right?
yeah, we were just trying to mess around with colors.
Hmm.
So the EP New York to Philly, the original pressing, is on a red jacket, and we were just fooling around with colors. And I remember the representative I was dealing with at Disc Makers, he said, "Why don't you try to do colors, colored vinyl? It's gonna be hot one day." And I was like, "All right, let's try it." So we were just
Yeah.
messing around.
It's hell to cue with though. When you're trying to cue the songs with the clear vinyl, it's bad.
You can't see the lines in it,
Yeah,
right?
you can't see the.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's a really dope single though. Speaking about this one, my girl, the track "My Girl" on this,
Yeah,
very much like an homage to kind of like the creation of hip hop. What's the beyond the obvious? Talking about you now. You're talking about your SP in one verse, correct?
yeah, right.
So break that track down for me if you don't mind. I'm just kind of curious. What your process was with that?
I kind of was trying to make a play on when did I Used to Love Her came out by Common? Was that 94
Hmm.
or
That sounds
96?
right. That sounds right.
Roundabout. Yeah, 94. So yeah, 94. Yeah, 94.
I Used to Love Her.
Yep.
What year is that? You Google that.
Yeah, 94. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right on the money.
Yeah, 94.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because the
so it was.
Resurrection album was 94. I know.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was kind of like my play on it and like my dedication towards hip hop. But like, I wanted to talk about my sampler, and Ray was talking about his
Hmm.
pen. So
Yep.
there's a line in there. I said, I tell you my memory's bad, but I was talking about hooking up my SP with my it was a MIDI
Tascam.
connection,
You said something
something
about the
like that.
task. Yeah.
A musical orgy created by
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
when I said a musical orgy, I was talking about hooking up all of my equipment like the SP with the
Yeah.
EPS with the Tascam and all that. So that's where that came from.
Man, I
Is
must say I love the instrumental on this track. The beat is fire, definitely. And
Thank
if
you.
you don't really listen to the song, it just comes across as just like something smoothed out, or some kind of like a little bit eerie, kind of smoothed out boom bap. But when you listen to it, it's really like made for the hip hop nerds to me. Like if you're involved in the creation of hip hop, this is like you're in the zone when you're listening to this, because it's just like talks about the whole process of like somebody that wasn't a producer couldn't
Wow,
write a
thank you
verse
for
like
that.
that.
Yeah, thank you. That's a compliment. I appreciate that.
And
Was
like you said,
Go
Rain,
ahead.
Rain's verse about the pen equally. Like it was just it
Right.
was definitely a love letter to hip hop to me from the creator.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you.
Was SOM, was that an abbreviation too,
Yeah,
or
Sound of
acronym?
Music. So
Hmm.
that shout out to my man Tone. Tone was a guy I met at one of the Sam Ashes out in Paterson, New Jersey, back in '96. I was
Mhm.
looking to buy another EPS, and I bumped into this Spanish guy, and he said, "Oh, I have the same machine." He was like, "A lot of people don't know about this." So we just started talking, and he said, "I make house music. I have a studio." He said, "I'm looking to get into hip hop. Do you do hip hop?" I said, "Yeah." We exchanged numbers, and I went to his house in Paterson, New Jersey, and the name of his studio was Sound of Music, and he had like a whole big house music setup, and we just clicked, and we recorded so many songs at his house, and that's where we recorded the original pressing of New York to Philly at his house.
Okay.
That was the next
Yeah,
one. Yep.
yeah, that's yeah. Wow, you guys did your
Right on
homework.
cue. I tried. I tried.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sam's got the OGs. I
Yeah,
just
that's a
dig on Discogs, but I've definitely been a fan and interested to hear more about Adagio for a long while now. So it's interesting to hear more about it, especially the origins and kind of the backstory.
yeah.
Yeah, so this record right here was beautiful to me. Um,
Did
You,
Ray move back to Philly, or was he staying in New York at this time? Or
mm, Ray was back and forth.
hmm.
He was in Philly. He was in Mount Vernon. He was in Long Island. He was back and forth. We actually made this record. I want to say like in 2 weekends. Like
would you say this is like your most fully fleshed out project from that era? I mean, it seems to me like it's got the most tracks, like it has the most theme, but would you say this is kind of like as far as the vision went, like on one project, or how do you view it?
to be honest, we didn't really know what we was doing. We was having fun.
Yeah.
We knew we had something to say. Um, And one of the reasons we called it New York to Philly because Ray kept coming back and forth from New York to Philly. And we was like, let's call the album that. It was just like just so free and natural, like how hip
Yeah.
hop should be.
Yeah.
And this is beautiful to me. Like it was beautiful how we made it. It was beautiful how I met Tone and Sam Ash in New Jersey who helped us record this.
Yeah.
Breeze was with us throughout this whole process. He's on the introduction, the intro.
I think you actually shouted out your man Sam Ash on that My Girl track too. Now
I
I'm
did,
picking it up.
yeah,
I'm picking it up
yeah,
in my
yeah,
head.
yeah, yeah. I did say a lot about Sam Ash in that track. I did.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, this EP though is just it sounds just to me it just sounds graceful. It just sounds like um it sounds natural. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it sounds like it was made in a comfortable like creative environment with no pressure from the outside as far as like what you had to rap about, what it had to sound like.
And that's how it was. This album was made during the afternoon. It wasn't no smoking. It wasn't no drinking. There was a lot of Chinese food, chicken wings, and fried rice. But this is an album that wasn't made on drugs. This was just straight love for hip hop. We was 22, 23 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a beautiful project for me, and they could put this in my coffin when it's time for me to go.
You,
One person I was
that
curious
that makes sense.
about.
That makes sense to me because you.
Go
Let me
ahead.
just say one thing real quick though.
Hmm.
You talked about the travel. Like Raim had to come up there to work on this project. So
Right,
it kind of seems to me like because you had to make special efforts to make music, you
right.
you weren't taking it lightly. Like you weren't like you said you weren't smoking, you weren't drinking, you were just
No,
getting down to business, actually making something quality. It's what it seems like.
right. So I was coming from Mount Vernon to Paterson, New Jersey, which is like 45 minutes. So you gotta go over the GW Bridge. I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm not messing around with smoking or drinking during that commute. Ray is coming from Philly. Like we
Yeah.
was coming to the studio about it was like work. Like, but it was good work. It was like going to class.
Right.
It was like we was back at school again.
Right.
That's what that album is.
I was curious. Did you know Eddie F or meet him or come across him in your travels? Seems like y'all would have similar, again, like areas.
Untouchables.
Mount
Yeah,
Vernon and working maybe at Uptown. It sounded like.
I never met Eddie F at Uptown, but I know him from Mount Vernon, and I know
Hmm.
his family. He lived on the same block as my cousin, and he's a nice guy. I never had no conversations with him about music, but I know him.
Yeah.
This one was the break. I like this track a lot. Another clear vinyl one on emo.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add about this one?
Yeah. Again, I think that was so we had two main studios that we worked out of, one in Long Island called the Demo Factory and one in Patterson, New Jersey called Sound of Music. This is a these are tracks that was made early on when me and Ray first hooked up. And shout out to my man Ray Watson at the Demo Factory in Hempstead, Long Island. He would let us record for free a
Wow.
lot of times. And he was very nice. He had like a studio that we always wanted to have, you know, after we had gotten maybe famous or made some money. Like he was the blueprint of this. His studio was like what we wanted to have, and he was very gracious and he helped us a lot. And I'm very appreciative of his service and his philanthropy because, like I said, he let us record a lot of stuff for free. We probably recorded this
Yeah.
stuff for free.
Wow. So he basically took his equipment and said, act like it's yours. Just take care of it and make whatever you want to make in
Well,
this amount of time.
he taught me how to engineer, and he had a
Like,
young child at the time or a grandchild at the time. So a lot
okay.
of times he would be running up and down his stairs trying to take care of something, and he would just
Yeah.
leave me with Ray in the booth.
Okay.
So of course I knew how to use the SP and the EPS, but I didn't know how to work the boards and his equipment. So he
Right.
gradually taught me, and so
Wow.
after a while, it would just be me and Ray down there.
Wow.
So I don't know if he knew we recorded 3 songs in like
Yeah.
1 hour, but he would
Yeah.
only charge us for an hour. But we walked out with 3 songs.
And
So
you learned in the process. And you learned in the process.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, he knew what we was doing down there. But like I said, he
Yeah.
was very gracious, and I'll never forget him. And I'm very thankful for him letting me do that.
Definitely, definitely, man. It's individuals like that make all the difference in the world for, you know, creation. I mean, obviously that's an incredible single right there.
Thank you.
And you've got quite a discography, so I'm just gonna
Wow.
kind of move through things. But if you want me to go back or stop on anything, let me know. Um, this one looks like a stick on promo, uh,
Yeah. What's the
promoting
story?
the
What's the
EP.
story? What's the story? What's the story with the sticker and all that stuff, man? Was this like a warm up to something that was gonna drop more officially, or how did that work out?
So like I said, I worked at Uptown Records for 2.5 years. I worked in the mailroom. And sometimes when we got test press, I remember Andre Harrell, he didn't want us to write on it with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
He would want us to like make a sticker. So I kind of stole that idea from working in the mailroom.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you use the Sharpie, it like smears
Yeah.
and he used to say it looks sloppy. The DJ
Yeah.
might not play it. And I was like, that's smart. So
Mm.
instead of writing on the vinyl, we made stickers.
So that's kind of like the alternative would be that you had to pay the plant, like the pressing plant, or some external or no outside company to create the labels for you. So this is
Well,
like something you.
that's a test press. So that's
Okay.
probably
Okay.
something I sent out as a promo to somebody. But like I said, I didn't want to write on it anymore because
Yeah.
he was saying that looked sloppy. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. So let me create a little sticker. So instead of making a whole color sticker and it's going to cost me so much money, just buy something and make that little bootleg sticker and stick it on the record.
Did that record end up dropping though? I thought it, or is that the one that
What's
only
on
came
there?
out?
I can't see it. What songs are on there?
Upper hand and hold tight.
Okay, so that was on the the Philly to or New York to Philly EP then.
Yeah, that was on the New York to Philly. So that probably was a promo, like
Yeah.
Okay.
you
I
know, to
thought
the
it was
DJs.
backwards. Sorry. 98, The Meaning, Listening Pleasure remix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dope project. That was done on the ASR. Wisdom. I remember he let me hold his ASR for a couple of weeks, and that's what I made before he took it back from me.
Did anyone serve as like a mentor for you on the ASR, or did you just kind of learn everything yourself? Or
That's a good question.
Kevin, Breeze's brother.
Hmm.
Yeah, he taught me the EPS.
So what did what did Kevin do? I mean, Kevin was a producer, or did he work
Yeah,
on
but
some of the Juggernaut stuff?
he did everything. Yeah,
Okay.
he was the inspiration. He was the first one in the door for everybody,
Okay.
and he had the setup. He was a master on the EPS.
What was
And
he? What was he credited as? Because I feel like that's news to me.
Buddy Slim, if you look on the
Okay, Buddy.
Juggernauts
Okay,
album,
so Buddy Slim.
yeah,
Okay, that's all
that's
you had
him.
to say. I got you now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He taught all of us. So he taught me.
that's what's up.
2001, this is like, is this your first solo record?
Yeah, wow. That is 2001. Yeah.
What, what was different kind of between maybe a solo project and a DGO project for you?
Well, just with the title, never before I thought I would be solo. Never
Mm.
before I thought I would do something by myself.
Mm.
And this was a project that I did strictly on the SP 1200,
Hmm.
and project that we were able to do and record at a studio called Rock and Reel Studios in Bellport, Long Island.
Huh.
Um, Dave Greenberg, if you look him up, he's credited for doing all of the Redman albums, EPMD albums. And again, I just met him through networking and so forth. And he was another studio engineer that was very gracious to me. He let us record for free, gave us discounted rates. And he passed away a couple of years ago. And
Yeah.
he was very good to me. And he
Sorry
didn't
to
he
hear
didn't
that.
have to let us record in the studio because he was already dealing with, like I said, Redman, Keith Murray, um, EPMD.
Mhm.
We would, in comparison to what he was dealing with, we would be considered amateurs. But he liked our professionalism, and he thought that he believed in our music. So
Man.
this was one of the first records that we recorded in his studio.
That's dope.
Oh yeah.
This is the
This
one I
it.
think you were talking about, the polo
Yeah, this
sport
the one.
kind of deal.
This the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't find that artwork. I wanted to do a re-release on it. I can't find it.
Man.
A lot of people ask me about it.
How was that artwork created? Do you remember?
Yeah, my brother, he did that, and I have a degree in history, American history, and one of my
Wow.
textbooks that I was using at the time, I took some of those images and flipped it. So if you kind of see like an American flag, you kind of see like
Mhm.
different like that's why you see the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
And my brother's a graphic designer, so we sat down and we flipped that.
What would you have would flip that at the time? Was that on like Photoshop or is that you didn't remember?
I don't know what my brother used. Um,
Yeah.
I just gave him the concept and he came up with it. So, but
It was
yeah,
probably Photoshop. Yeah.
Yeah.
at that time, yeah,
Yeah.
This is the one I think you were talking about earlier, Heavy Jewels,
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Obvious Archives.
Yeah.
So if you look, that was from 2002 to 2014. It was a 12-year gap.
Yeah. Shout out to Heavy Jewel.
Yeah,
I like the art
I,
on that too.
yeah. I was just thankful that they reached out and that we were able to like open the vault and put some new music. I mean, old music out. And this project did really well.
So do you remember with Heavy Jewels? Was that Verge? Was that Verge from New Jersey that you dealt with and Pat? Or do you
Virgin
remember?
Patrick, yeah,
Yeah.
both of them. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I got a chance to meet Verge too. He seemed like a real cool cat.
They were both very, very cool.
Definitely like heavily into everything indie hip hop.
Yep.
On this one, Sam was anxious to talk about Carta P and Parental Beautiful Mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the I know Carter, I know you mentioned that Parental had reached out to you. Um, I know that a friend of mine really kind of insisted that I listen to this album, and
Wow.
I was definitely impressed with how personal it seemed.
Yeah.
Um, it definitely seemed like a labor of love. Like, what can you tell
Yeah.
us about this album?
I love this album. Besides New York to Philly, this is right there. This is number two. This
Hmm.
album was very personal to me. I was going through a lot of stuff at the time. So 2019 it dropped. I started writing this album 2017,
Hmm.
and I just basically took the listeners through on a journey through my life.
Hmm.
Um, and Parental was reaching out to me numerous times. He had sent me beats, you know, two, three, four times before, and I never responded. And I
Yeah.
remember being in California, 2017, and I was on the beach. I was about to work out, and he had sent me one more beat, you know, one more beat
Hmm.
pack. He emailed it to me, and I said, "Let me listen to this." And all
Hmm.
the beats that were on that beat file are on this
Hmm.
album. And I
Wow.
remember just walking that beat. I was in Santa Monica, and I remember just walking. And I was just right. The songs was just coming out, like
Man.
a beautiful mess, a day in the life. Everything was just coming out,
Hmm.
and I was like, wow, I got to get home and start recording. So I called Kevin, Buddy Slim, because he got the studio in his house. And I
Yeah.
remember went over there. I dropped like 3 songs, and I was sending it back and forth to Parental, and he was like, "Yo, I think we got something." I was like, "All
Yeah.
right." I immediately booked a trip to France. I had to go meet him because I was like, I'm doing all this personal, intimate music on email. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm used to being in the studio. Like, I'm not used to this email stuff.
Yep.
So we kept going back and forth. I went back and forth to France like 5 times before this album dropped.
Wow.
And again, Parental, I love him. That's my brother. We got the we're born in the same month, April. His family,
Hmm.
again, his parents been married like 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like family orientated, just a beautiful guy. And I'm blessed to have met him, and I'm blessed to
So,
have been able to like put this project together because
and,
this is a story of my life.
and major shout outs to Parental. You can tell that's another dude that has a lot of love for hip hop. To engage with you on a project long distance and put that much heart into it. And try to make it happen like that is impressive to me.
Oh, he did, and we worked on this project for like 2 years. So it came out 2019, but
Hmm.
we was we started working on this in 2017.
Did you
And
get
what
to
was that?
perform any of it in France, or did COVID kind of cut that off? Or
COVID cut it off because this dropped September 20th, 2019.
Hmm.
Um, I did a lot of radio and internet stuff here in the States, but right when we were thinking about doing stuff overseas, COVID dropped
Hmm.
and it was over.
What was it like rapping over somebody else's beats as a producer? Does that free you up to kind of put your thoughts on the page a little bit better, or I mean, what did because that was the first time you really rapped on somebody else's beats, right?
Probably, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
it was refreshing to me. Um,
Yeah.
I instantly gravitated towards his sound,
Hmm.
and I gravitated towards his professionalism, and
Yeah.
his beats fit the stories that I was trying to say.
Hmm.
So to me, it was a home run.
Yeah. Yeah. That's What kind of feedback have you gotten about this album?
Yeah, I got a lot of good feedback on it.
Did that kind of make you feel like you accomplished what you set out to do? Did you feel like the message really kind of came through like you were trying?
Yeah, I definitely did because a lot of people told me that they felt like it was an inspirational album. It was a
Yeah.
personal album. I talked about issues with my son. I talked
Yeah.
about issues with my family. I talked about issues with me. And a lot of hip hop artists told me that they could relate to that. Like they felt like
Yeah.
um, it was an introspective album where they all could relate. And for me, like if we at that time, I was like, well, if I'm a rap or make another album, what am I talk about? Drugs?
Right.
I never sold drugs. What am I
Right.
talking about?
Right.
Um,
The whole music game is different. You can't even rap about a lot of things that were true but were relevant at the time. I mean, everything's changed.
Everything has changed. So like, like you got to talk about stuff that's relevant and stuff that people can relate to.
Yep.
And that's what I did. I just took my story and just put it on wax.
To be honest, I got to ask you because I'm not really an artist, but I do DJ a little bit, and I have a little radio show, which I consider like my personal mixtape when I do it. But
Yeah,
I love to listen back to that because to me it's just me expressing myself and like doing things that I want to hear. Do you
yeah.
listen? But do you listen to this album? Did you listen to it a lot?
When I was making it, but not now.
Not now. Is it just kind of just like too much repetition?
I listened to it the last time in September. I listened to it every on his birthday, September 20th. I listened to it.
Hmm.
So every September 20th, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't. You got so much stuff. I didn't get to add your album with Max One or is it Fries or Freeze in my
Fries.
silence.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. Y'all did all the homework.
I tried.
Hmm.
Did those kind of were those spurned by this collab with Parental or?
Yeah. So I met Max One. I was in France. I was doing an in store, I think before the album came out, or maybe a little bit after.
Hmm.
And Max One was there at the in store. He wanted an autograph. And then he said, I make beats. Can we do something? And I said, yeah, sure. He gave me his Instagram. And then 7 months later, we had Today Means Everything.
That's
Wow.
dope.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's a great producer.
the next one I had again going back to Adagio, Ass and Benefits
Yeah.
remix and Boy and Girl Tale remix. This is like 7-inch 45 small hole. I'm not a fan of the small, but still dope that they put it out on 45.
Yeah, that's HHV.
How did so HHV is kind of linked in with '90s tapes, right?
Correct.
So how did they had this kind of series where they actually it's really small on my screen I'm looking at now, but they had a whole series of 7 inches that they put out like '90s reissues and stuff like that on seven.
Yeah, they
How did
did.
but that was all on the up and up. Like they reached out to you and said, hey, you know, we want to put this project out. Like kind of it was on the up and up. I'm assuming.
Very professional. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very strictly business. No games. They're great to work with.
I noticed that a lot of things like there's a lot of stuff in the bootleg realm on reissues. And you hear things secondhand that maybe like all the artists weren't really kept in the loop or compensated right. So I'm always curious, you know, obviously to see the LP come out on HHV kind of gave me the idea that these guys were doing things right.
Yeah, I love this project right here too.
How
Yeah.
Yeah.
how did it feel for this to drop?
Mm, I was just I was very happy when this
Mm-hmm.
dropped. This dropped the
Mm-hmm.
first day they announced COVID was a pandemic. I remember
I
being in
believe
the
this
house,
I believe this sold out the first day too as well. At least on LP. Um,
maybe, but it was the first day of COVID,
man.
March 19th, 2020. Yeah.
So is
That
this
that picture right there, me and Ray, we was just two kids. I think I was like 22 years old in that picture, 23. And Ray,
man?
probably the same age, and uh, that's at Mount Vernon High School. So there's a track. Mount Vernon High School is here, and there's a track over here. And to get to the track, it's a bridge. So you
Hmm.
see the what we're leaning against, the gray fence. That's part of
Yeah.
the bridge to get to the track.
Okay.
And I remember we were trying to think of a picture. I was like, this would be nice right here. I was like, yo, my brother, he always walked around with the camera. He took the
Yeah.
picture, and that became the cover.
That's some nostalgia there too, man. It's not like you just went to a random corner and took a picture. Like it actually that spot even meant something.
Yeah, it did because I'm from Mount Vernon. I went to Mount Vernon High School. I knew that. I was trying to show Ray around,
Yeah.
the town, and it ended up being the album cover.
This is kind of yeah. That's kind of like I saw that last project. It's kind of like the deluxe version of what you guys did around that time period. Like if it ever got like an official release, like
Yeah.
it's like the whole thing, and then some.
You said these never dropped, but now they have.
Right.
Did Ray have sort of different influences coming from Philly? Like, do you know much about kind of his musical history or background?
To me, and from what he always spoke about, he loved New York MCs, and that's one of the reasons why he moved to New York. He wanted to go to college here, so he was really a big fan of New York hip hop. Of course, he was a fan of Black Thought and all of that, and the Roots, but he loved New York hip hop.
Who didn't love New York hip hop?
Right.
Yeah, at that time.
Did y'all do any music videos? Because I was gonna usually I'll play a couple tracks from the artists that we interview at the end now to kind of wrap everything up. And for those that have kind of listened to some of the interview and may not be familiar with some of the songs, I was gonna play The Obvious Joint and My Girl and Boy and Girl Tale, but I was curious if maybe I missed it or maybe they never dropped.
A good question.
Did y'all do any music videos or shoot any music videos?
We never did no music videos.
Yeah.
Parental and I did 2 videos. We did a video for MSNBC. And we did a video for Misunderstood off the Beautiful Mess album.
Dope. So those are on YouTube.
Yeah. MSNBC was the first single off A Beautiful Mess.
And then is this the latest project? The latest
last
release?
one. Yep, that was I want to say May.
Okay.
Yeah, straight off the DAT.
Oh yeah.
Dope. Yeah, shout out to 90s Tapes. Shout out to Nickname SD for checking in. Sam, did you have any more questions you want to ask? I really just wanted to play those tracks, and that was all I had. I appreciate your time, Carta
No
P.
problem. I appreciate you guys highlighting my music, and thank you.
That's a lot to absorb, man. I like I said, respect for taking the time out to talk to us about this stuff. I know you feel like to a certain extent you guys never blew up like maybe you imagined, but I don't have to tell you that you had a major influence on the people that really love hip hop and beyond the surface level. So man, just mad respect for all your catalog, your contributions, your time, man. The stories are what I love too. So just thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much too, and continue to highlight other great artists from that time period. So many people that we came up with, that's contributed to the culture, and their stories need to be told as well.
We're working on that for sure. That's a goal. Were there any other forthcoming projects coming out? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, if you're up for it, man, we might try to pull you in to another interview. We like to get guests. I can think of another couple folks that you might want to interact with. So I'm gonna try to keep you in mind for that as well.
Yeah, no problem.
I was just curious, is there any upcoming or forthcoming projects from you as Carta P or other things we should keep an eye out besides straight off the DAT?
Yeah, so we have 3 projects that are set to be released in 2025. I have a project with DJ Fred Ones from Gorilla Grooves Radio. The project is done. It'll be out in April 2025. Parental and I, we have a follow-up to A Beautiful Mess. It's called Still a Mess. It'll be out in 2025. And I have a follow-up project with Fries.
Okay.
Probably be released in June or July of 2025.
Dope.
Nice. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, man. We're gonna play The Obvious Joint and My Girl and Boy and Girl Tale. Appreciate it.
That's nice. Yes. I appreciate y'all. Salute.
All right. Salute.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Peace.
Yeah, this is how it's going down, y'all. Check it out, Adagio. If you didn't know, kid. One time for your mind. Here it is, kid. Check it out.
What? I'm in the thick of hip hop, I can't stop coming. Convertible style drop, rhymes off the top. Man, you get mopped to rock when I'm blasting. Hit you with rhymes to knock the tree off your Timberlands. For those on some image shit, or cause your image pitch. Who was the man which wants to get his title stripped? For years I was painstaking, creating rhymes with the vengeance to make rappers ask repentance when I drop a sentence. Realistically, I bring it to your face, literally, logically, and lyrically. Fuck femininity, cause if the girl wants to come test, a female MC becomes a damsel in distress. Food for thought to digest with dangerous rhymes to slaughter any and every MC in alphabetical order. Live from Philly, if you don't know, not Toronto, but I damn sure rock a rap tour until my throat sore. With laryngitis, I still got the Midas touch when Mike's is clutch to make the jam jump like double
Watch
dutch.
the world go round as we do our thing. Keep your eyes on the prizes, the hits that we bring. Understand what we got is the obvious plan to put it down for you and yours across this whole land. Watch the world go round as we do our thing. Keep your eyes on the prizes, the hits that we bring. Understand what we got is the obvious plan to put it down for you and yours across this whole land. It's the obvious one to discover my techniques as I speak, representing over self-made beats. And I delete silly clowns not having the faith, cause if you knew, man, what I was going through, you'd be ready to punch a bitch in the face. So it's a race against time. It's the rhymes in 96 that'll put you in the mix with this two-man band. That's forever politicking, kicking nothing but the real how niggas is always shitting on our sound. Forever getting down with the fro dad who's blowing up mics to get your hype while you're driving down the turnpike. In spite of the bullshit, I'll be relieved to get the props and respect that we're bound to receive from this debut. So was it you who's loving our compilations, just the A&R tale without infatuation? Cause misplaced judgment leaves you into a state where you can't recuperate, but now it's too late. Watch the world go round as we do our thing. Keep your eyes on the prizes, the hits that we bring. Understand what we got is the obvious plan to put it down for you and yours across this whole
You need
land.
to get your style updated, deliveries while belated. So bust the rhyme with orchestrated. Reign supreme, never hesitated. Although I waited so I could shine my words, my bond on some flat lines. These are the last days and times for real MCs to speak up and speak out. A lot of brothers take the wrong route, rhyme about the wrong subject matter. You're the low man on the ladder, get your ego shattered. MCs confused, med backwards, sounding awkward, so lyrically they faltered. Now they quizzing me like Bob Walters, wanting to know the scoop and how I set it on. Sample loops with the obvious, a definition of ambition, goals, interest, and organization. We cornered the market, rap act the occupation. One thing rap to me was patience, to persevere. The coast is clear now, I'm rolling with my partner in hot pursuit to get the pockets swole.
Watch the world go round as we do our thing. Keep your eyes on the prize, it's the hits that we bring. Understand what we got is the obvious plan to put it down for you and yours across this whole land. Watch the world go round as we do our thing. Keep your eyes on the prize, it's the hits that we bring. Understand what we got is the obvious plan to put it down for you and yours across this whole land.
You and yours, nigga. You and yours, nigga.
Yeah, it's going down like that. Watch the world go round. It was the first week of April 1992. My man Sam Asher introduced me to you, along with your friend Tascam. I can't front, I had the plan of getting close and being your only man. So I got my loop together, thinking cleverly of the times we could spend trying to make fat melodies. You couldn't tell me there was another girl better. She had the simple name, matter of fact, with 2 letters. I called her SP, while others called her a sample in percussion. The type of female who in 10 seconds could have a nigga blushing, thinking about all the loot he could make from writing fly rhymes and digging in the crates. She was my one and only, so I treated her with care. To put her in the hands of another wasn't fair, cause I was the only brother she was trying to get with. And you could tell cause other brothers' sounds didn't. It's all about my girl, in case you didn't know. Her name is SP. She makes the music for me. She keeps tracks pumping to mix with the rhymes, so I had to show her love one time. Check it, it's all about my girl, in case you didn't know. Her name is SP. She makes the music for me. She keeps tracks pumping to mix with the rhymes, so I had to show her love one time. As time went on, I endeavored with other women's, messing with this girl named Makai who had taste like Robin Giffen. She was expensive, but I had the money to take her home and hook her with my SP honey. Playing two women, yo, it seemed to be wrong, but without these two, I couldn't make better songs, so I introduced SP to my newly found friend Akai. It seemed all good, so we gave it a try. Pulled out the MIDI cable, stuck it in the back, and it was on like that. A musical orgy created by technology, and all I had to do was press a button and have it work for me. This is my way to stardom, no doubt. And with my girls on my side, I couldn't pick a better route. So from this day forward till death do us part, we'll be the baddest hip-hop couple to share the same heart. It's all about my girl, in case you didn't know. Her name is SP. She makes the music for me. She keeps tracks pumping to mix with the rhyme, so I had to show her love one time.
You didn't really see the light till you heard me on mics. When I first tried to kick it, said I wasn't your type. Well, I got a girlfriend and she's a pimp. That might sound sick, but I'm in love with a bick. As long as I think my baby got ink for the spilling. She was with me when other females was frozen. Now I'm catching feelings. Dealing with this writing instrument, I might not be getting ass, but definitely getting benefits. So no one can object to our relationship, she keeps me going. When it comes to some written shit, she been down with me since I was Ramsky. A little shorty, and help me dispose of many of foes. She ain't my right hand man, she's my right hand girl. And when I clutch her, I take her to a whole different world beyond diamonds and pearls, fur coats and fashions, mixing business with pleasure, writing rhymes everlasting. It's all about my girl, in case you didn't know. Her name is B.I.C., the true love of an MC. My big chick keeps me slick with rhymes, so I had to show her love one time. Check it. It's all about my girl, in case you didn't know. Her name is B.I.C., the true love of an MC. My big chick keeps me slick with rhymes, so I had to show her love one time. One time.
Just the boy and girl tale about these girls I know, the type of girls y'all know. You know those girls who stoop low. It's just the boy and girl tale about these girls I know, the type of girls y'all know. You know those girls who stoop low. Yeah, back once again with your boy and girl tale. It never fails to tell the truth on how girls they get me loose. I was spending mad loot in pursuit to knock the boots with this chick, but now she's got me fixed on her loving. And every now and then I start bugging when I see her with her man. You know I'd rather stand by her side. And never will I let that shit ride. I want the chance to romance, but now I can't get a glance. She's got a man buying things for her, doing things for her that I never could do for her. That's okay, every dog I have his day. I'm not trying to give no pay for no bitch to look my way. All that glitter's not gold. I'm in control without a fat roll of money, you stupid dummy. That's why she calls you honey on the L. I wouldn't dare tell, but fuck it. Your girl would give me ass too if I had the duckers, kid. So you can keep the type of stuck up trick who's only known for running game like those New York Knicks. Your girl is poisoned with the skull and crossbone, and now it's known in my thought that your love is just sport. It's just a boy and girl tale about these girls I know, the type of girls y'all know. You know those girls who stoop low. It's just a boy and girl tale about these girls I know, the type of girls y'all know. You know those girls who stoop low. It's just a boy and girl tale about these girls I know, the type of girls y'all know. You know those girls who stoop low. It's just a boy and girl tale about these girls I know, the type of girls y'all know. You know those girls who stoop low. Yo, I'm wishing upon her well, but damn, I can't tell if she's trying to be clever. So whatever is the response to her question, I'm guessing there's a lesson to be learned with the female. She still makes me happy like a dog that shakes its tail. Her excuses are still, my mind is in a blur. I'm with her on the norm and she still rocks the fur that her man gave her last year. Her biggest fear is that her stupid man will hear and go crazy off a can of beer. My best advice is that you leave before you be his wife. You best to think twice, else your whole life is ruined. What you do when I'm the nigga that you're screwing, you see. So yo, how could this be that my mind is playing tricks on me? I'm getting tired of this OPP stuff, because you would think the loot from that nigga is enough, but it's not. And yo, her man doesn't know that. He doesn't get no haps, cause yo, I'm the brother that taps it on the regular. I'm telling ya, it's crazy. I hit it from the back, I bust my nut, and then I'm Swayze, I amaze thee. Average motherfucker who makes the mad loot. I'm minimum wage and I still knock you girls. It's just a boy and girl tale about these girls I know. The type of girls y'all know. You know those girls will stoop low. It's just a boy and girl tale about these girls I know. The type of girls y'all know. You know those girls will stoop low. It's just a boy and girl tale, y'all. And check it out, it's just a boy and girl tale, y'all. It's just a boy and girl tale, y'all. And check it out, it's just a boy and girl tale, y'all. It's just a boy and girl tale. All you shiesty women, to all you stuck up tricks. It's just a boy and girl tale. Adagio, check it out, the obvious, don't stop. It's just a boy and girl tale. All my Don P